Hello, and welcome to Sac Sewer's Echo Water Resource Recovery Facility. I'm Christoph Dobson, General Manager, and I want to thank you for joining us on this tour. We might be biased, but we love talking about sewage, and we're very excited that you're here. So what is sewage? Simply put, sewage is used water. When you flush the toilet at home, wash dishes, or take a shower, all that water goes down the drain and becomes sewage. But have you ever thought about what happens after it goes down the drain? In the Sacramento region, it ends up here at the Echo Water facility, which is located near Elk Grove. Our job is to ensure the water is properly treated and cleaned before we return it to the environment. This helps ensure that plants, animals, and all of us who live and recreate in the region continue to have access to safe and healthy waterways. Now that you've got a little background, it may not come as a surprise that we take our jobs as environmental stewards very seriously. We have a diverse, skilled workforce that is working every day to protect public health and the environment. We are proud of the work we do and think you will be amazed by our state-of-the-art facility. We hope you enjoy the tour.
Every time you flush the toilet, wash dishes, or do the laundry at home, the used water, also known as sewage, enters a vast network of underground pipes. Sewage first flows through the structure's plumbing and then through the upper lateral, a portion of sewer pipe that runs from just outside the exterior of the structure to the property line. From there, it enters Sac Sewer's collection system through lower laterals, small pipes connecting the property owner's plumbing. Above ground, sewer cleanouts provide a small access pipe that our crews use to inspect and maintain our portion of the underground sewer system. Cleanouts are typically located at the connection point between customer-owned sewer pipes, the upper lateral, and Sac Sewer's owned sewer pipes, the lower lateral. Back underground, sewage travels from lower lateral pipes into our sewer collectors. Those connect to larger pipes called trunk lines, which connect to even larger pipes called interceptors that can be up to 12 feet in diameter. Along the way, pump stations pump sewage from low-lying areas through force mains to higher points where the sewage can again travel by gravity until reaching the Echo Water Resource Recovery Facility located near Elk Grove. This is where the important work to clean and recover resources from the sewage begins. Once at the Echo Water Resource Recovery Facility, the sewage first passes through bar screens, where large debris like rocks and wood are removed. By removing these large items first, we can prevent damage to our pumps and the other equipment required during the treatment process. Once the large debris is removed, the screened water makes its way to the primary treatment process. Here, the air and covered tanks help sand, gravel, and other heavy material sink to the bottom. This material, known as grit, gets removed. Next, the sewage heads to the primary sedimentation tanks. Fine particles in the water sink to the bottom, forming sludge. The fats, oils, and grease float to the top, forming scum. Fiberglass panels sweep the bottom and top of the tanks to remove the sludge and scum, both of which are helpful byproducts that can be recycled. At this point in the treatment process, the sewage is now called primary effluent. The primary effluent is removed from the primary sedimentation tanks through large pipes and heads to the secondary treatment process. The secondary treatment process begins when the primary effluent arrives at the Biological Nutrient Removal Facility, also known as B&R. As you can imagine, wastewater contains various contaminants, like ammonia. These contaminants can be harmful to our waterways, fish, and other wildlife, so it's important they're removed during the treatment process. In the B&R process, ammonia is removed through natural biological processes. Essentially, microorganisms in the wastewater feed off the wastewater particles and remove contaminants that would be harmful to the environment. Large blowers are used to add oxygen air bubbles into the wastewater. The oxygen helps the microorganisms grow. Adding oxygen is important because the healthier the microorganisms are, the more ammonia they can remove. The microorganisms also consume any remaining organic material, effectively removing waste from the water. The wastewater then travels to our sedimentation tanks. Here, all those microorganisms that helped clean the water sink to the bottom. Some of them are even recycled back to the B&R to remove more contaminants. The remaining water is now about 99% cleaner than it was when it arrived at the treatment plant. The water, now called secondary effluent, leaves the sedimentation tanks and flows over a series of weirs. It travels through a large screen that removes floating material blown into the sedimentation tanks. Then the water makes its way to the final step, tertiary treatment. When the secondary effluent arrives at our tertiary treatment facility, it's pumped through a filtration system. The filtration system removes very small, solid particles, and then we add chlorine, also known as bleach, to disinfect the water. Since chlorine can be harmful to aquatic animals, we neutralize the chlorine after the disinfection process with another chemical, sodium bisulfite. The treatment water goes through one final test. During this test, fish must live for 4 days in the cleaned water. It's part of how we ensure the water is safe for the environment and the aquatic life that live there. Now, the clean water is known as final effluent. A portion of this cleaned water is discharged at the bottom of the Sacramento River through an 800-foot long pipe. Another portion of the water is used for recycled water purposes, like irrigating parks. In fact, the water is now so clean that we can also use it to water food crops eaten by people. Now, you might think that at the Sacramento region's wastewater treatment plant, we just treat wastewater. But actually, as environmental stewards, we do much more than that to protect public health and the environment. We're working every day to recover the many resources from wastewater and put those resources to good use in the communities we serve. For example, the Sacramento region's wastewater is treated to such a high standard that a portion of it is used to irrigate landscapes, like parks and medians. We also partner with some businesses that need water for industrial purposes. In fact, what surprises a lot of people is that our recycled water can also be used for agricultural purposes too, and is safe to use on food crops. Using recycled water helps conserve our precious drinking water resources and helps keep our community green. And we don't stop there. Solid materials removed from the wastewater process are collected and treated in large tanks called digesters. The digested solids, another byproduct of the treatment process, are sent to a biosolids recycling facility. Here, the solids go through a drying process and are made into a commercial fertilizer pellet. Our biogas recycling program is another way we're working toward helping the environment. Biogas is methane, flammable gas that's a byproduct of the wastewater treatment process. We collect the biogas and send it to SMUD to generate electricity. In the future, we're looking to process the gas on site and generate our own electricity. The electrical power generated is equivalent to what it would take to provide electricity to 7,500 households each year in the Sacramento region. Finally, we entered a power purchase agreement for an on-site 4.2 megawatt solar array, which covers about 21 acres at our treatment plant. This solar array consists of about 13,000 solar panels and produces approximately 8% of the treatment plant's current energy needs. That's enough energy to power approximately 750 homes annually. Regional SAN has also partnered with SMUD on their Solar Shares program, which offers solar energy from SMUD instead of installing additional solar panels at the treatment plant. Solar Shares will offset approximately 29% of Regional SAN's non-renewable energy use. As you can see, our commitment to environmental stewardship goes well beyond wastewater treatment. We are working every day to identify ways to efficiently and effectively recover and reuse resources from wastewater. This helps preserve our natural world for generations to come. Surrounding our wastewater treatment plant is more than 2,150 acres of protected open space known as the bufferlands. This area was created to serve as a buffer between our treatment plant operations and the neighboring community. But it's so much more than just that. This natural area serves as a protected habitat for a diverse array of wildlife. We like to say that the bufferlands represents 4 of the most unique square miles in Sacramento County. Its varied topography supports lush marshes and dense riparian forests, along with open savanna and precious vernal pools. The bufferlands is a highly regarded environmental resource and is managed by professionals who strategically restore and care for our wildlife habitat. Since the bufferlands was established, hundreds of acres of native grasslands and wetlands have been restored, and more than 35,000 trees have been planted. The wildlife response has been phenomenal. There are more than 245 different bird species on the bufferlands, and we also have dozens of species of mammals, reptiles, amphibians, fish, and an incredible diversity of plants and insects. The bufferlands is yet another example of how we go above and beyond to protect public health and the environment. We are proud of the work we do to sustain these natural resources for the communities we serve.